I was out of town for a little bit this weekend, but I did see this thread come through and get a ton of traction online, talking about how it's been a week since Warcraft Rumble launched and how people are liking it so far. Let's get those general launch thoughts out there. Warcraft Rumble did not have extensive betas, so we weren't able to get the opinions of like millions of people before the game came out. Now it's kind of our first opportunity once the game goes out to the masses after BlizzCon, so I thought it would be fun to go through and talk about some of the most common and most upvoted talking points. But I'm also going to try to get a video out this week showing some of the metrics and talking about the strategy of Blizzard's marketing and how big I think Warcraft Rumble is going to be compared to things like Clash Royale and other Blizzard games. I'm going to do a little bit of research on that data and then present it to you here coming up soon. So we'll go through here for a little bit and cover this for you and react live. So not going to lie, I'm having fun, but yes, progression seems slow. So this does seem to be a little bit of a sticking point with a lot of players. It's like you get to that point, 40, 50 sigils, something like that, and then you almost feel like you have to spend because you're grinding 12 mini XP per dungeon and you just really don't feel like you can progress at all and you're kind of just stuck. So yeah, it would be nice to have a little bit of a way to kind of slow down the feeling of slamming into a wall in your first week of playing. And then we got someone saying, I hope this isn't as close as I get to Warcraft 4, but I'm enjoying it. Yeah, so Warcraft 4, it's probably going to be tough to get games like that, unfortunately, nowadays, because Warcraft 4, StarCraft 3, stuff like that, those games are harder to monetize than games like Warcraft Rumble. So it's going to be interesting to see if we can still get big RTS releases. RTS is a little bit of a dead genre, unfortunately. I love RTS. I think it's one of the best like esports viewer experiences. I really enjoy watching Age of Empires matches and StarCraft matches and stuff like that, but it's just not popular with the newer generations. So unfortunately, we may never get a Warcraft 4 or a StarCraft 3 kind of game. I really enjoyed it despite all of its technical difficulties. It's fun to use in the Warcraft style. I'm already seeing it slow down pretty bad with how badly the XP is needed beyond level 10. Yep, so this one brings up a good point. Lots of technical issues, like you'll finish a dungeon and you can't click the continue button, game freezes, you have to restart. I've probably had to restart or reinstall Warcraft Rumble, I don't know, 300 something times in the 2 or 3 weeks I've been playing. I was playing a little bit before the launch after my trip to Blizzard. I was able to kind of get the game and start testing it, but in the 3 weeks I've been playing it, 300 something times that I've had to restart it. So definitely lots of technical issues out the gate that hopefully they can get that ironed out ASAP. I freaking love it. Can't stop playing. Literally, right now, my only concern is the poor optimization. Yeah, again, those technical issues. Consumes battery like a freaking beast, and it's the first thing the devs need to fix if they want to experience success. So I haven't really experienced this. I have an iPhone, and it doesn't zap my battery, and I've never even noticed 1% overheating, and I've played it for like 2 or 3 hours straight in some instances. So this is happening for some devices. Maybe you'll have to let me know down below if it's happening to you, but I have not noticed that on my mobile device. The battery consumption seems pretty in line with other mobile games, and I'm not noticing my phone heating up at all. I love the game. I just hope they fix the continue button. They speak of the devil. I was just talking about that. Yeah, that continue button after you finish. Sometimes you just can't click it and you have to flat out restart. I'm enjoying it so far as I bought the Arc Light Booster. That's that first pack you'll get kind of pushed when you're a new player, and it's the one that's going to boost how much mini XP and gold rewards you get as you're playing through the PvE side of the game. I'm a rather casual player, but I was long searching for the game and some level of progression, short matches I could play a few times a day, and it hits the spot. Yeah, it's great for that. I think the gameplay overall within Warcraft Rumble, I would say, is being mostly received positively in terms of like what it's like to actually play the game on the map and use the minis and stuff. Pretty well done. People are having problems with the walls of progression and the technical issues and things like the size of clans being only 15 and not having enough content, which will be alleviated pretty soon here when we get things like raids coming to the game where you can play with other people in your clan and stuff. But then we've got, I think it's going to be a problem that XP for minis isn't linear. Having to get 10 to 20 times as much XP per level is going to really wreck the game at some point for most people. There's already people complaining about walls, which for this early in the game is a bit more of doing it wrong than an actual wall, I think. But doing all 5 on heroic mode is going to be a no-go for most people, I think, because most people probably get bored when it takes a week for one unit to go from 19 to 20. That's true. You know, I would agree with them here. So like, I can see both sides of it, because you don't want a game that is going to have everything maxed out and then everybody's going to get bored and quit within 2 weeks. So you do have to have some sort of tough progression that will keep people striving towards a long-term goal, but you should not be slamming into walls your first week. I agree with them there. This is supposed to be the honeymoon phase where you're constantly progressing and you're being showered in loot, and your account is growing and growing, and you're making friends and you're playing content. It should not be any walls. That should be months into the game when you start to really bog down and settle into the long-term grind. So there's got to be some sort of a middle ground there, I would think. A bit disappointed the gameplay loop doesn't quite have that addictive touch I was hoping for. Also was expecting a bit more storytelling to give a bit of context to the zones and encounters. Not sure I'll be playing a month from now. So yeah, you know, the Warcraft universe has a lot of really cool things going on in it. You know, some people are going to be like, I'm one of them, honestly, who usually just skips everything, or like, everybody skips that stuff anyway, so why even bother putting it in? But I think it's a nice touch. I mean, it's only, what, like 2% of the production budget. You might as well at least have some cool storyboard screens in there to give context on these different dungeons and different stages, and that would kind of make everybody happy. Like, the people who want to skip it can, and the people who enjoy getting a more fleshed out universe can read through that dialogue and experience it. So there's really no downside to having that. I would have to agree with them there. I am trying to enjoy it, but PvP is very frustrating as someone who hasn't unlocked many talents coming up against others who have. It makes me feel like I'm being manipulated towards the store. That leaves a very sour taste. Yeah, so that is pretty brutal. That's kind of the first pay to win that you're going to experience in PvP, because when you do PvP in the early stages, the levels are normalized. Like, every mini will be set to level 1, and that makes it seem like it's not pay to win. But when you go to your deck and you've got somebody like me right here who has a talent on every single mini, if I'm going up against someone who's new and they don't have any of these talents, these are insanely powerful. Like, right here on my Defiance Bandits, I've got a talent to earn an extra 2 gold when opening chests. So if I control the center and I'm taking chests with these Defiance Bandits, it's going to be a massive snowball of income. And if somebody is playing with Defiance Bandits where they don't have a talent versus me having Defiance Bandits that do have this talent, it completely alters the strength of their gameplay on the battlefield. So that is a fair point. It's a little bit rough. I almost feel like talents shouldn't come into play in the first level of PvP. You should have to like rank up to another level where talents are considered, and then another level where levels start to be considered. That way people aren't getting demolished early in the game. But usually Blizzard alleviates this by most of your matches early game are going to be against like AI bots that will do silly things and make crazy mistakes and give you a chance to kind of learn some of the mechanics until you start facing those real like try hard gamers on the other end. Great, but needs quality of life fixes sooner than later. They got quite the list here. The render button in PvP, that's actually a topic I put here as a poll on the channel. So if I load that up right here, we can see 82% of you out there, at least viewers on my channel on YouTube, 82% are wanting an option to surrender in PvP. So what that means is you're getting stomped in a PvP match. You don't have to just sit here and set your phone down and wait a minute and a half until they walk through and destroy all of your towers and all of your base to move on to the next match. And yeah, I don't know, there is a lot of nuance, or a lot more nuance than what seems apparent on the surface in that discussion, and it might warrant a dedicated video at some point going over it. But anyway, I go back to the point here of going through this. They want a surrender button in PvP, countdown in PvP. That would be nice. What it would do is it would normalize the start times where your opponent isn't dropping miners or dropping stuff in the center lane to control until you're ready. So having like a countdown of 3, 2, 1, boom, and then we go on PvP. I agree. More talent, descriptions, very vague. Yep, that'd be great. Optimized for less loading. Yep, total quests available by number. Better alerts for guild rewards. Yeah, faster dungeon and grid rotations. Yeah, that is true. It takes way too long. More daily and weekly gold income. That's true for free-to-play players. It's going to start to really bog down after a week or two, and it can start to seem way too slow. More grid resets. Yeah, the grid in the shop is way too slow for those rotations, and there's nothing in there you want to buy. You gotta wait forever for other stuff to spend your gold on. Loadouts for each leader. Yeah, so this is a problem because what happens, like you can see if I go to a deck here, like for Tyrion, on my screen right here, if I need to change up my Tyrion deck to beat a certain stage in the campaign, well, now all of a sudden I go into a PvP match and forget that I switched my deck, and now I just get trashed on in PvP because I've got like a super niche campaign stage deck. So yeah, there should almost be like a PvE and PvP loadout for each leader here. Info on the timing of the grid leaders and stuff be more obvious. I agree. That like emblem at the top of the grid. Additional quest variety. Yeah, that would be good. Adding some like daily quests, like playing 3 PvP matches and you get a reward of like 20 coins or something. A way to reward active players for trying to do stuff within the game. I agree there. Copy and paste function for decks from websites similar to like Hearthstone. Yeah, I would put on here the biggest thing would be like replays, like the ability to share a cool replay with your friends or post something in your clan chat, like OMG, look at this game, I won at the last second, or being able to copy and paste decks and share them with your clan mates or share them on Discord. That stuff is kind of, you would think, baseline for a studio like Blizzard in 2023 to have stuff like copying and sharing and replays. That stuff should have been in the game on release, I would think. Huge potential, but all the loading screens and bugs are killing me. I don't understand how this wasn't early access for months. Yeah, so, okay, we're starting to get a general gist of some of the opinions and stuff that are floating out there in one of the highest traffic threads here discussing Warcraft Rumble after launch week. And I think if I had to come up with like one overall general sentiment, just from all of the research and reading I've done out there in the Warcraft Rumble community, it would sound like the overall mechanics of the gameplay people like, and they've done a good job with variety of minis, and the balance really isn't that bad. Obviously, there's some really strong ones and some really weak ones, but in terms of a game that's never been played by the masses, the balance on launch, mostly decent, and the gameplay is mostly positively received. The backlash is going to be on slamming into walls when you're only 1 week into playing the game, and the mass of bugs and constant restarts and glitches that people are experiencing while they're trying to play, and the fact that we're missing some of the very basic quality of life things you would expect a studio and a team like Blizzard to be able to deliver on in 2023. I mean, some things that like Clash Royale had on release, what, 11 years ago, aren't on release here in Warcraft Rumble. So that there is definitely a reason for some criticism there, and hopefully that stuff comes to the game very soon. But I think the canvas is there for a solid game with good gameplay. If they can iron things out over the next few months here, I think they could take that next step here with Warcraft Rumble. But definitely let me know your thoughts down below, and remember to subscribe on your way out if you enjoy daily Warcraft Rumble content. I will see you soon in the next video. Thanks. Peace.